catch my attention. I work with journalists to help our country. And I'm giving 6 months. And by 6 months' time, I will come here with you and follow me, put pressure on me. 6 months' time from today. And I'm telling the people of the Jokuku constituency, it's not only this road. This road, they haven't seen anything. I am tackling a number of the arterial roads in Honorable Okoboy's constituency. By 2020, the people of the Kuku constituency will see the road infrastructure President Akufo-Addo's government. I want to plead with the people of this constituency that they should be calm, they should be cool, and by extension, the people of this country. All roads cannot be done in one day at the same time, simultaneously across the nation. Demonstrations, people can draw our attention to the critical roads that they have. There's nothing wrong with that.
It was about 2 months ago when the roads minister was inspecting the roads projects around the capital and elsewhere in the country, and we're focusing on the fix Lekmanau #linked road. It's just a 7.5 kilometer road, just also in front of the Lekman Hospital. We did that great advocacy. It resulted in the roads ministry making sure they mobilize a contractor there, but subsequently what has been taking place, we've been doing some assessment, so we'll go there. Malik Dabo is doing us the honors this morning of going there to have an assessment there for us. But look who we have here. We have Arba Kumsa. Arba,
yes,
thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, great. So we have to do the newspapers.
Yes.
You start for us.
Okay, all right. So this is a major story that we did yesterday. Very sad story.
Yeah.
And it's in both the Ghanaian Times as well as the Daily Graphic. And it's about the deaths resulting from, torrential rains in the Upper East region. 20 people have died. So the Ghanaian Times headline reads, 20 died, 19 injured as torrential rains pound Upper East and 1,225 houses collapse, Roland. 1,225 houses. Yes, and in the graphic, it says 20 die in the Upper East floods. That toll could rise. So that's for the rains and the injuries there for you. In the Ghanaian Times as well, we have the state to sell property, Woyome's property, as Supreme Court throws out stay of execution case. Also, Ghana to pass law to deal with international crime, and government to focus on quality science, mathematics and technical education. That's according to the president.
Yeah, and that's on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. You want to do the graphic too?
Well,
and, I
yes.
know that you did it, so
well,
we'll just do each according to the paper.
Very well. So the Supreme Court refuses Woyome's payment plan. That's also in the graphic. And we have a special prosecutor to retrieve 47.3 million euro debt from Waterville. That was coming from yesterday.
It's taken a while, right?
It's taken a while.
It was a main campaign promise of the Nana-led government, of course, when they were in opposition. But,
to see if
but
they're able
it's
to
how
fulfill
the law works. The rule of law is what we've ascribed
they
to.
say the wheels of justice grind slowly. And in this case, it's extra slow.
I'm telling you.
Okay. And on the back page of the graphic, we have rail parts ransacked in Asankare. Railway parts ransacked in Asankare. Wow, people are stealing railway parts as well.
It's the metals in between the tracks. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So they use those clippers for many other related things as scrap.
Right.
Yeah,
interesting. I also have the Daily Statesman with me, and the headlines here say Supreme Court corners Woyome. Interesting headline. Application for stay of execution dismissed, paving the way for the sale of assets. So that's the major headline on the Daily Statesman. But it also has another one here, Con Job, how the BBC goofed with the sex for grades, and has a picture of Professor Jampo there, lecturer at the Political Science Department whose name came up in the Sex for Grades documentary.
He's becoming famous for this.
Yes, and also IGP, IGP cracks whip on errant police officers, and we have a picture of the Inspector General of Police in the top right corner there. So that's it for the Daily Statesman. Yeah,
and we know this story is just following an incident that we also reported extensively on Prime, as well as on radio extensively as well on Newsnight, about some brutalities meted out by the police over the last 24 hours, if not 48. But look, let's do the Daily Guide next. On the front page of the Daily Guide, we have Woyoma, bankrupt Supreme Court slams final hammer in 46 million Ghana cedi debt. It has an inserted picture of Alfred Agbesi Woyome, the financial engineer, was, I'm told, supervising related issues with his firms on some actuarial works, but looks to be in trouble. Has been the last couple of years. The Amidu AG clash over 47 million euro Waterville debt is also beside the main story. On the front page of the Daily Guide, it has a picture attached of Godfred Yabuadami, who is the Deputy Attorney General. Down there, though, we have Kufuor affirms ICC commitment. We're talking about the International Criminal Court, and for many related parties or countries that are party to that pact, incidentally, you know, the US in many respects, but it also means that the government would always tend to say they're really going for the effectiveness of the ICC. Okay, and let's go to the back page. The back page is full of sports, as always, for many of the dailies we have. We have Paris is a stressful city, and this, guess who is saying this, is a former player for Barcelona and Juventus, but now playing for PSG, and a good right back for Brazil, as well as for all his teams that he's played. We're talking about Dani Alves. And also on the back page, we have Kunedu is apparently Waffles Bears Black Stars B coach. Was declared in the tournament that just ended. Of course, we lost in a penalty shootout. And we also have in the center spread, Frema Edunyame Rabish's Juju claims. And this center spread.
Does it have to do with the Commonwealth pageant, Miss Commonwealth pageant?
No, this one has got to do, I'm told that Nanaba during the RTP Awards, went to have an Instagram post, and she didn't mention anybody's name.
Yes, she did.
And that 8 years ago.
So on what basis is the newspaper, you know,
well, it's also because apparently there was a story by the blogger Chris Vincent Japon that seemed to have speculated that the person Nanaba was referring to was Frema Edunyame. Yeah, I got confused initially when I heard Edunyame, apparently because I knew her as Fremashka. So,
okay, yeah. I see. Interesting.
She said the incident happened about eight years ago. All right, so down there we also have Cuba Gooding. You know Cuba Gooding?
I do. Yeah, very renowned American actor.
He's facing a lot of sexual allegations, harassment. Is also dominating all around the world.
I see.
I think I need to pick your mind on this. What do you think about the related issues, about the way we tend to harass you, the women that we work with?
Are you talking about within the workplace?
Within the workplace, the home, generally? Wherever. It's a societal problem, we're told.
Well, you know, our culture is different, and here in Ghana, and I suppose most African countries, a lot of women don't find it offensive when a man, you know, makes certain suggestive comments about her body. They actually find it to be complimentary. But you know, I mean, times are evolving, and we are learning that not everything is appropriate, and so touching people inappropriately might get you into trouble.
I know.
So, for example, you shouldn't be pinching my waist anymore.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday I closed your zipper for you, so I don't know. I volunteered.
No, so but here's the underlying thing. When there's consent, there's no problem.
We'll do it with consent. We'll do it with consent. This one is not a problem. And Wiyala is also occupying the center spread of the Daily Guide. We're talking Wiyala, McBrown, others on it. And Wiyala is doing great work with her music and touring all over Europe and the Americas, doing great work. Look, that woman's fantastic.
Yeah.
And okay, so let me do the Daily Dispatch quickly. It has a story continuing with the analysis of the various constituencies, mainly pitching candidates of the MPP and NDC, looking at their strength and asking questions about who is likely to win the 2020 parliamentary elections, analysis of 200 constituencies. Which constituency do you live in?
I live within the Dome Kwabenya constituency, yes.
Oh, Adwasafo. That's a no-go area. Well, water shortage is apparently looming in Ashanti region, and that's on page 7. Page 12. And then we also have this free education and the men are just impregnating them. And East African President Zanga.
Who is that attributed to?
And this story will get you bemused, and no one else than Magufuli, the Tanzanian president.
Wow.
He says he's shocked by the lack of action against men who impregnated apparently schoolgirls, numbering some 226 in the southwestern region of Rukwa. And this is how he's quoted. The government is providing free education, and these men are busy making girls pregnant. Why has no action been taken against these men? He said during a visit to the region. Yeah. Okay. Happens here also.
Well, let's do the story in the Daily Statesman. It says the new IGP cracks whip on errant police personnel. And Roland, you know that this morning we did a story about some police personnel in Konongo, in the Ashanti region, who are alleged to have murdered a 33-year-old driver. And the IGP is hoping that he will, the actions that he'll be rolling out will bring some sanity into the system. Yeah. And so the story reads that the Inspector General of Police, James Opongbuenu, has announced new measures aimed at instilling discipline in personnel of the Ghana Police Service. The initiative follows mounting public concerns about dwindling professionalism in the service. In restoring confidence in the service, the IGP has therefore directed that all highway patrols, barriers, traffic duties and snap checks, among other schedules, be placed under the supervision of senior police officers. Do you think this is going to make any difference? I was under the impression that there were already senior police officers, you know, at these snap checkpoints. Yeah,
because usually you find chief inspectors usually with them. So I'm surprised that it means we're going to go a notch higher. Are we going to use ACPs or
it'll be interesting
DSPs
to find out, but the police haven't given any specifics with regards to these directives. But what we are told by some of the drivers we spoke to and commuters when we went on the ground is that there usually is a senior police officer, lurking nearby, and you know, the younger personnel, you know, do the, how do you call it? How would I describe it?
Harassment.
Yeah, the harassment where they, you know, collect bribes and then go and account to the senior police officer. So we're all wondering what is going to change or what has changed. Yeah,
but I think the import of all this story, and it's important that this directive is coming, only that we're confused about how it will be implemented. It's about the state of mind of the police when, not only when they're on the roads, but also undertaking their work. Yeah. And in this incident that has been reported extensively by the channel as well as the regular channels on the multimedia platform, is about the professionalism of the police.
Exactly, exactly. But I think that the police hierarchy ought to give us more details and specifics about these directives. But I do agree. It's laudable.
I do agree. I do agree with you on that. But let's look at the last paper. I hope it, we have 2 more papers. Okay, so let's quickly go through the custodian. $1 million Kroll and associate payment. Osafumafo replies Auditor General. And when you read the story, well, he makes attributions about the work they've done, etc. Just wondering why when the draft reports or the queries that were raised by the Auditor General in his investigations or the audits were sent to the Finance Ministry, these responses didn't come from the senior minister's office as quickly as possible when they were recommended.
Okay, Roland, let's go back to the graphic. And on page 5 of the graphic, Inside Africa, it says, blaming dress code for sexual abuse in Zimbabwe criticized. And the story reads, Zimbabwe Gender Commission, the state body in charge of gender issues, that would be akin to our, gender ministry here in Ghana, has been criticized for proposing that universities introduce a dress code to protect students from sexual harassment. This is a, raging issue right now, sexual harassment. We have that in our own university now. And so the Commission's Legal Investigations Manager, Delis Mazambane, was quoted by local media saying last Tuesday, to make life easier for the lecturer, the university needs to have a dress code policy. Of course, the Constitution talks about freedom of expression, but institutions are allowed to cascade such provisions to their own needs. I mean, interesting. To make life easier for the lecturer. That's how he starts So this is just to facilitate
and this is in Zimbabwe.
This is in Zimbabwe.
Does this not fall in line with
for the lecturer?
Yeah, does this not fall in line with the, I thought, absurd proposition by my former lecturer at IPS, now UPSA, Goski Alabi, saying that we should prescribe uniforms for students of universities or tertiary institutions? I thought it was a bit...
I don't agree with that position at all.
Yeah, definitely. Look, there's no way the way you dress, the way anybody dresses should evoke any lustful or sensual feelings in any lecturer or student. For you to even go to the extent of harassing sexually that person. Yeah. There's no way.
Interesting. But this
doesn't make sense.
Debate will continue to rage. But let me read this one for you. This is an interesting one. A South African rapist has been reciting a poem for his victim in court. And it reads that convicted rapist Nicholas Nino has read out a poem he wrote for his 7-year-old victim as he appealed for leniency during a sentencing hearing in a court in South Africa. The 21-year-old was convicted last month after he was caught naked in 2018 with the child in the female toilets of a popular Pretoria restaurant. So, I mean, he says, in the poem he said, she may never forgive nor forget. And he went on and on and on. But it's quite interesting that you read a poem.
But people like this are in the society, but they have psychotic problems, seriously.
Exactly.
Yeah, because what will make a grown-up man have any urge for a child?
That's a question we haven't had any answers to, because in Ghana here, you know, it's rampant. I mean, you have elderly men defiling young girls, and you wonder why or what attracts them to it. Yeah.
It's only that I've never seen a woman being, you know, accused of having assaulted a young guy. I read it in the British and the American newspapers. But
well, it happens, but it just so happens that, you know, the cases of the men are higher
more
than
prominent.
that of the women. Yes.
The men, we're always the cause troubles. Okay, there's a story about how we should give thumbs up to government for managing Ghana's economy. And the IMF has been having, and the world, and they're having these spring meetings in Washington. And we're told that the ratings agency Fitch has given thumbs up to the way the economy has been handled. And if you read the story, it says over the long term, we're likely to have debt to GDP reducing subsequently. You know, the economy has been rebased, and it will also mean that governments seem to think, even though at variance to what the economies will be advising and the financial aspect, that it means that we can still have some leeway and go and borrow more for either revenue appropriations, etc. At the end of the day, we also have to be mindful that we need to increase our tax base. Look, the mason in the community near me is paid in cash, and so it means that that money doesn't attract the needed charges or the taxes that it should. And we still have the tax net still not expanded. Those who are paying the taxes are the same people. Just yesterday, we're told that DSTV and those who, well, MultiChoice, they've increased their charges because they use internet connectivity, related services of the telecommunication companies. So ultimately, we need to expand the tax net so that we can make room for more revenue.
Definitely, we've been talking about expanding the tax net for decades.
Since you and I were were children.
I've been reporting on it since I was a junior, you know, journalist. But well, we'll see. We still have hope that the tax net will be expanded. But Roland, have you been following the standoff between Turkey and the U.S.?
Yes, I have.
Syria.
I have been. And there's a new letter by Donald Trump.
Yes. Quite interesting. Well, the Ghanaian Times, page 6 of the Ghanaian Times says Erdogan vows to complete offensive in Syria. And it says the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has vowed to press on with an offensive in northern Syria until his mission to create, quote, a safe zone is complete. Turkish troops and allied Syrian rebels launched an operation to clear a Kurdish militia from a border area last week after U.S. troops pulled out. Now, Mr. Erdogan also said he will meet the U.S. Vice President on Thursday after all, despite appearing to rule it out. He told Sky News on Wednesday that an American delegation, including Mike Pence and the U.S. Secretary of State, would only meet their counterparts in Ankara. And he says, I'm standing tall. I will not meet them. I will only speak when Trump comes.
And Araba, let me share this with you. And following this, Donald Trump, just in the last 12 hours, issued a letter And you know, when you're a president, it means you become the top international diplomat for your country.
Really?
And he was, you know, he just went gaga. Like the way he does his tweets and the Facebook. You know,
he's uncontrollable.
Yeah, so this is what he said, Araba. This will take you, I know, we're very surprised. He says, and this one, he says, His Excellency Tayyip Erdogan, of course, he follows with the pleasantries, and said, Dear Mr. President, let's work out a good deal with an exclamation. You don't want to be responsible for slaughtering thousands of people, and I don't want to be responsible for destroying the Turkish economy, and I will. This is supposed to be a diplomatic letter. And he continues, I've already given you a little sample with respect to Pastor Branson, and this is related to a pastor of the US who also had, so he said, I have worked hard to solve some of your problems. This is a letter to a president. Don't let the world down. You can make a great deal, and General Muslim is willing to negotiate with you, and he's willing to make concessions that they would never have made in the past. History will look upon you favorably if you get this done right and humane way. And you know, this is the only time that the U.S. senators or Congress has defied Donald Trump, the Republican senators, and added their voice to the Democrats to say that his withdrawal or decision to withdraw troops from Syria is not the right way.
Nice. And it isn't right. And they must stand up to him at some point in time, because they've been accused of, you know, being weak and not standing up to him. But he can't be a bully. Donald Trump
is a bully.
He's a bully. He's a bully.
He is a bully.
He's a bully.
I can imagine if he was Ghana's president.
Exactly, exactly.
Like, well.
Oh,
anyway.
Did you say you can imagine if he was Ghana's president? No, I don't think Ghanaians
would appreciate him.
No, no Ghanaian was.
Well, neither do they in the US.
No.
Okay.
No.
Which of the teams do you support, Araba?
Talking about sports?
Yeah, football.
Football?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on who I'm dating.
Okay. So the one you're dating, which team has he influenced?
He's an Arsenal supporter.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
That's why you have a lot of patience.
Really?
On air, yeah. But I know, I mean, outside the cameras, you don't have patience. But it's good that you're cultivating the habit to be patient. Arsenal. But so it means that when they are playing the EPL, you stay tuned, or what do you do?
No, I'm forced to watch. I'm not really a football fanatic. Yes.
What sport do you like?
Athletics. I used to run when I was in school.
Yeah,
so,
you have the legs for it.
So
that's not sexual harassment. You do have the legs for it.
No, it's a compliment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, yeah. So I used to run. So I'm really into athletics, not much into football. Okay. Sometimes basketball. Yeah. So football doesn't do it for me. Unless, of course, you know, we're playing a major international tournament. Yes, and then that one, you know, I might watch.
You might watch.
Generally,
so
I don't follow the EPL.
Yeah. So when you were running on the tracks, which was your favorite of the races? 100 meters, 200?
Oh, all of them. 100 meters, 200 meters, 1,005. I used to do all of them. And high jump as well. I made very good use of my legs.
No wonder the newsroom subordinates are afraid of you, because you're a strong agile person. I'm telling you, and it's good that
I don't think they're afraid of me. Don't take
it's a compliment.
Roland's.
You just compliment.
Don't take Roland's words to heart.
Yeah,
no,
please don't take my words to heart. Yes. It's not true. Just teasing her. But we have to introduce Benedict. He's up for sports.
Okay.
Do us the honors.
Hello, Benedict.
Hello, Benedict. You're enjoying us, eh?
Yes, of course. Abba is very interesting, you know. She's one of my favorite ladies around, you know, this place. No sexual harassment.
Yeah, but this is the first time you are uttering this. You've never been able to tell her.
Oh, I've always been telling her. She knows.
Okay.
She knows how much so dear she is to me. And I've always been telling her.
Thank you very much.
But I'm a Liverpool fan, so I want her to support Liverpool.
Yeah. We're told that Paul Pogba feigned injury so that he will not meet your team.
Well, that's what they are saying, but of course, I mean, he's a player. And if he's injured, he's injured. The doctors of Manchester United will check on him. But as it stands now, Paul Pogba, David De Gea, all will not be available for that game on Sunday, of course. And you know, it's a very big game for Manchester United. With their current form and the form of Liverpool, you definitely, if you're a United fan, you definitely will fear going to meet Liverpool at this point. And if you're a Liverpool fan, you'll be very happy meeting Manchester United at this point. And especially when you don't have Paul Pogba, you don't have David De Gea, you straight away will think that it will be for Liverpool. But this is a derby and anything can happen. But you know, here on the local scene, the Ghana Football Association election could be a new twist to it, because Wilfred Osei-Kweku, the disqualified aspirant, has filed. No. He has filed for an injunction on the process. This time, not in any court here in Ghana, but at the Court of Arbitration for Sports. That's CAS.